Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to show you how to do the aux belt and the slipped on the gravel, aux belt and aux belt tensioner on a W203 C220 CDI with the OM646 engine. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so to start with, take your engine cover off. It just pulls up and out of the way. And then next you want to take all this plastic ducting off. So the best way I found to do it is take this boost hose out, and you can just put a flathead in here and pop the clip out and then pull the actual hose out and just put it off to the side. It just enables you with to get a bit better access down here. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so put a flathead here, pull this out. Okay, so remove this. You don't have to remove it fully, but mine's a bit funny, so I just like to take it off fully. Put that somewhere memorable. This just pulls straight back and out, and I can just put that off to the side of it, and it just helps with access down here. Next we need to take all this ducting off. So there is this going into the airbox here, it goes all the way around. It's supported here. Mine doesn't have the fixing, but yours probably have a Torx bit in there. Just take that out, and then it just clips into the back of the air intake here, and this splits in half as well. You can get it out in one piece, sometimes it'll split in half down here, so whichever way you get it out, just take that out and get it out of the way. It simply pulls out of the actual airbox, and it will just, there is some form of way it clips into the back here, but I think it's at the top it's held in. Yep, it was just at the top. It's held in on this, and there's one at the bottom as well, so it's a bit awkward, but you just kind of got to wiggle it. And you can thread this out, pass the other boost hose underneath it, and just get it out of the way in one piece. So to get the belt off, there is, if you're looking at the thing, what I'll do first is make a diagram of how this routes. Take a picture as well. I've got a diagram inside, so I'll use that. Just make sure so you know how it's going, because when you come to put it back on, otherwise you'll struggle. And then this is the tensioner here, so it's, if you're looking from the top, it's like the second row down, and it's here. And to the left of it, if you feel, there is a place to put a 17mm 12 point socket on there with a breaker bar, and cant it over to the left, and then the belt will just release. I'll show you on the new one. It's this. So obviously this is locked already in a retracted position, but yeah, there's this. So it's a 17mm, I believe. Let me just double check. Yep, 17mm 12 point socket. So we're just gonna, I've got a breaker bar here, and we're just gonna, I've got a little adapter on to take it down, and it also just pushes it out enough so that the breaker bar's out of the way. Might be best off with a big ratcheting breaker bar as well, but this is what I've got. I don't really want to get a new tool if it's not necessary, so let me show you this. Locate where it is. Okay, and it's just under the actual idler itself, just under the wheel as it were. And if I pull this, it just loosens up the belt enough that I can just slip that off. Don't know how much of that you saw, but I'll show you. I'll bring you in a sec and I'll show you. Okay, so down there we've got it on. It's just under, that's, you won't be able to see it with the belt on, but it's just under the wheel as it were, and to the left. And when you pull it, that just moves. Obviously it won't move that much, but it moves to the left, and it just allows you to, while you're holding it, just slip the belt off. Now what I need to do is the bolts for this, you can see one here to remove it, so it's a reverse Torx, and the other one is under here. You can't really get to it unless you've got it in this position. So what I'm going to have to do is lock this in place. So I'm going to find something suitable, like a punch or something, to lock this in place so I can get that second bolt out. Let me just first, before I do any of that, take the belt off. And compare it with the new belt that I've ordered to make sure it is actually the same size. Okay, so I've cammed it fully over, I had an allocating, quite a bit of rotational force on there, so I tried a screwdriver and just bent it, so careful what you use. And then we're using an E10 bit on the bolts, one to the left of it, and then one to the right and top of it. So obviously just use the new part for reference. So I've got one here and then one to the right. And I'm hoping I can kind of take the bolts out, release the tension when it'll stay in place, and then I can get my Allen key back. Because if not, I'm not really sure how I'm getting my Allen key back, but we'll figure that out. The bolts are longer than you think. keep that safe. I think what I'm going to have to do is tighten the other one back up and then release the tension so I can get my Allen key back. Okay, now you can bring the old tensioner out. Wow, this bolt is nasty. I'm going to clean that up before that goes back in. Okay, and the reason I'm changing this mine is, don't know if you'll be able to hear it on camera, but a lot of noise in that, a lot of play. But I noticed it was getting squeaky and I was going to change the belt anyway, so I thought why not. The new one doesn't spin as freely either. There's like no noise from that. Any noise you can hear is probably my finger slipping off it. So to install, goes back in the same way. So the tensioner upright, as it were, kind of like in that orientation. So I'll do that, put the bolts in, and then I can crank it over to the left and pull this pin out. Probably get some pliers on that, pull that pin out. I'll put the belt on first, either way, we'll figure that out. So I'm just going to clean the bolt up and clean up the mating surface. Okay, so just going to get these bolts started by hand. It's hard because you can't really see the one on the right. So I have to start with the one on the left actually. Get one on the right started, so in theory, if I now put that into position, sorry, one on the left started, so now if I put that into position, all should be lined up. Yep, found it with a bit of wiggling about. Okay, I'm going to wind this in with electric ratchet because I'm lazy. As far as it'll go anyway, because they don't have too much torque on them, these, well mine done anyway. And just finish it off by hand, nice and snug. I'm sure there'll be a torque setting, but I'm just going to do it pretty tight. Careful not to round the heads of these E-bits, because they're quite easy to do so. Okay, so that's solidly on there. Now, I think I will put the new belt on first and then I'll just crank it over and take that pin out if I can get to it. So let me get my diagram, I'll show you as well. Okay, and that is the diagram. Nobody comment on how phallic that looks, but here's the idler, tensioner. Here's a big one next to it, that's the main crank pulley, and then you've got your accessories. So, goes around these two, comes back. Anyway, you can follow that. I'll put it full screen for you there. Okay, so I'm going to follow that, route the belt, and I'll come back to you. Okay, and I've now routed it according to my diagram, and you should be able to slip it over everything with the tensioner in this locked position. So we're just going to go back on the tensioner manipulator thing, pull it far to the left, and just the difficult bit's going to be getting this pin out. Oh, or not, and there we go. And let go, and it should self-tension. So what I've done is, just before I did that, I just went around and made sure, because all the pulleys, there's like a V groove. On the pulleys there's like two borders, and then the low point is where the belt sits. So you just want to make sure that it's sitting perfectly in between those on all of them. The tensioners might be a tiny bit off, but they'll sort themselves out. As long as you get them mainly lined up in the middle of them, it'll sort itself out once the engine's rotated once or twice. Unless you've got it drastically wrong, it should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and put the car back together. So like I said, you can kind of weave it through, so kind of some funny angles you can manipulate it into place. I remember how I did it. Yep, that's the one. Okay. Just make sure it don't come apart in the middle while you're doing this. And just make sure it clips back on this one as well. Okay, yep. Oh, I've actually lost the securing clip at the top for this, so that's interesting. I did see that somewhere, I'm going to have to find that, I saw that earlier. There we go, it's clipped back in at the airbox side, it hasn't come apart in the middle, and it's clipped back in at the air intake side. So you can just put your engine cover back on, and that should be good to go, once you've put your boost hose back on. So, let's get these back on. Let me zoom you in a bit, oh, you're already zoomed in. So you'll notice there's two tabs, top and bottom, and they line up with, there's like recessed areas. So, line them up. Push that home, and your metal clip. You'll notice there's a channel for it, and it stretches and there's locking points, so you just got to open it up, get those in, and that's this side in, and that's that side in. And you shouldn't be able to pull it out then, it should lock in both sides, and you can feel it with your finger that it's locked in correctly at the bottom. And also give it a tug and it doesn't come out. So we'll button that back up, air intake's back, just put the engine cover back on and you're good to go. Now time for a nice engine bay clean. Okay, and with that the aux belt's done. Pretty easy job, you don't have to be scared of it, and you can do it yourself, save yourself some money, get yourself a good quality part. I got a Febby Bilstein tensioner because it's rotating a lot, it's you know, it's a high stress part, so you want to choose a good part, don't skimp out on something like that. And same with the belt, I've got a Continental belt, you know, they've been in the rubber game for years, so pun there. But yeah, if that helped you out, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, you know, dropping a comment if this helped you, let me know what I could have done different. Thank you for watching, I'll see you again in the next one.